Hi, I'm Gavin. Today we're looking at the 2019 Higher Level Leaving Cert Business Paper. We're in the ABQ, so we're doing part A of the ABQ, which was based around Unit 2 and Enterprise. It had two parts to this. One was explain the term and the other was the benefits of becoming an entrepreneur. So obviously for the ABQ you often have to link back the text, giving it a direct sentence from the ABQ text, and you can only give information that's relevant to the ABQ text. In the case of explaining a term, it's the only situation where you wouldn't need to give that direct quote. So for explaining the term, you just need to give 2 good points of information around it. And then for the second part, which is the benefits, you want to state a benefit, explain it with keywords from the text, and then for your last 2 marks, you need a direct quote from the text that's relevant for it. And the relevant bit is really important there, that the quote that you give from the text links into the information you've given above. If they don't match, you would get 0, and if you try to explain some keywords that were relevant to the course but didn't exist in the ABQ, didn't have a link, you would get 0 as well. So for the ABQ, don't just write stuff that you know is good stuff, make sure it's relevant stuff or you wouldn't get any marks. So, explain the term entrepreneur. It's when someone is innovative and does something new to create a business, taking on financial, personal risk with the aim of making a profit. So this stuff here is tree, and then linking in that the idea is to make a profit is tree. So that's generally what an entrepreneur is. And you needed kind of most of those keywords in there, or you would get either 0 or 3 if you didn't have them. And then the benefits, so you'd be your own boss. So you can see there were 2 marks going for that. You want to then expand it. Often in the ABQ, people just jump into just writing the ABQ text, where you need to give your textbook knowledge here first. So how do you develop be your own boss? How is that a benefit? You gain a sense of freedom, control, and can decide the course of their own business, not just take orders or follow orders, or they're not stuck just following orders that they don't believe in. Anything along those would be perfect for your development along your heading there, being your own boss. And then we wanted to go into the ABQ text and pluck out a sentence from the text. You don't want it to be 1 or 2 words, you want it to be around a line or 2, but no more than that. It should only contain 1 clear link. And here we had, Emma became frustrated with the limitations of working for other people. So when you read that in the text, it should jump out that is the benefit of being an entrepreneur, will be independence or being your own boss, being in control of your own decisions. Anything around that would pick up the marks because it's relevant to that. So you just needed to give 2 benefits there, 2 plus 3 plus 2 for both of them, so it was 14, and then 6 for the explain the term. When you're asked to explain the term, usually it's asked once in each ABQ, worth 6 marks. You don't need to give a direct quote. If you did give a direct quote, you wouldn't lose any marks. So if you're unsure, if in doubt, do a direct quote. But when you just are asked to define or explain a specific term in a part 1 of a question, generally you can leave it out. But there was 20 marks in total for that. So you didn't need to write an awful lot of information, and you could score those marks pretty quickly. We're looking at the ABQ. This is part B. So the questions around management activities. The question itself there has evaluate in it as well, so that's the kind of main thing to look for when you're planning your answer. Evaluate just means that in addition to the keywords, and because the ABQ your direct quote, you also have to give your opinion on something. So in Leaving Cert Business, the management activities are planning, organising and controlling. They're the only 3 that are allowed, so you can't bring in any other type of activity. People can get these confused with management skills, which are leading, motivating and communicating. So just make sure you know the difference between those, and you know if you need to give management activities, it's POC, planning, organising, controlling, because you could end up with 0 if you didn't give them, and they're the only way to get full marks. So the marking scheme here is 3 marks for giving the activity, 2 marks for a keyword for it, and 3 marks for a direct quote from the text that's relevant to that activity. And then the evaluation was 6 marks in total, but it was broken up, 1 for planning, 1 for organising, and 4 for the evaluation of control. So you needed to evaluate each of them. The reason they gave 4 for the control is because in the text, that is the one area like that, the kind of text focused in on that they had lost control, and the student then this year needed to be able to pick out from the text that they had lost control, where planning and organising seemed fine, so there was less evaluating to do. So we'll jump into it anyway and have a look at an answer. So controlling here, I'm going to get 3 marks for that because it's the management activity, just stating it. Then we get 2 marks for kind of keywords around it, so it's having systems to allow corrective actions to stay on course for targets. The areas are stock, quality, credit and financial control. So generally that would be enough. For the ABQ, when you only have you know it's only going to be 3 activities, I'd like maybe pick one of these that's relevant to the text and expand it a little. So quality control ensures consistent standards are met. And just to kind of pad it out a tiny bit, I wouldn't try and overwrite too much, just making sure that you're developing something, the keywords that are most relevant to the text can be a good idea here. And then we have our kind of our direct quote from the text. It needs to be relevant. So Emma is currently carrying out, like I picked out a sentence there, you'll be able to see it in the solution, that ends in reputational damage, and that's like a clear direct quote to control. So it's practices and procedures with the full-time staff in order to take corrective action and avoid further reputational damage. So you're getting 3 marks for getting that direct quote in, and then you just needed to give an evaluation. So in this case, from the text, the evaluation could be that she had lost control. Her quality was low at the menus and poor quality flowers, meaning she didn't meet the high standards and got poor reviews, which could damage sales. Something like that. So you want to give your opinion on it. So from the text, it was kind of clear that, you know, control wasn't good because standards were low, and that's what you needed to pick out. You just needed to talk about the text. You didn't have to have the direct code in for that because you already have it here, and you didn't want to just repeat these kind of keywords. So you wanted to kind of give your opinion. I think she's lost control. Her control is low, and why. Menus were poor, so reputation was damaged, stuff like that. And that's what you would give for your evaluation. And then the other 2 would have been planning and organising, and there was kind of straightforward enough kind of direct quotes from it. For planning, like she meets all the couples a year in advance at their marriage and discusses different opinions, so that's a fine link from the text for that. And the evaluation of that would be that she's good at planning because she allows enough time to get everything in place by meeting a year in advance or something like that. Organising, then, the direct quote that jumped out for that. For the wedding reception, part-time staff are divided into teams and briefed on their roles. So for organising, that's around like the matrix structure or team structure. So a nice clear direct quote for that to easily link it in. And then you would also need to evaluate that. So you could, because it's a team structure, you could go anything around teams, like staff will be happier, morale will be higher, productivity will be higher because they're working in teams, so they'll be able to enjoy it more and be more productive. Something like that, which isn't just repeating your keywords. So in total there, it's a 30 marker. There was 3 points because there's 3 imagined activities, and each would need their own evaluation. We're currently doing the ABQ here today, and it's part C. So this is around consumer conflict, so like chapter 2 in the notes. And the question was, do you think Oakfield Lodge, as a service provider, has complied with the terms of the Sound Good Supplies and Services Act 1980? So there's a question mark in there, and this is very important here. Kind of simple way to lose kind of quick marks, you can nearly lose %. It's saying, do you think it complies with it? So you have to actually say yes or no here. So we're saying no, and that will give you 3 marks out of the 30 available. So if you're asked to agree with something, just make sure that you do actually agree with it before you write your answer. Or you could find yourself losing 3 out of 30, so 10% of the marks available, and nearly 1% of the paper, 3/4 of a percent. Then it says, explain your answer using your knowledge of the law and referring to the text in the ABQ. So then it was straightforward enough. You gave 3 points of information. The point of law, some kind of keywords around it, and then the direct quote link that's relevant to that. So I've gone for here, all service should be provided with due care and diligence. Every effort should be made to ensure the service is of good quality. Or, you know, what could be a good idea here is to like bring in an example to help you. So, you know, a barber should take their time so that they don't stab you with the scissors or hurt you with the scissors or cut your hair, cut your head or something like that, or, you know, anything like that around care and diligence with a service. I think an example here helps. And you can get it even if it's not relevant at all to the ABQ text. So this ABQ text is about a wedding, but when you're just, this is the keywords and kind of course content knowledge, so if you bring in an example to try and help you develop this, you'd be totally fine for that additional set of marks. And then you give a direct relevant quote. This quote needs to be linked in with this. So here, for a recent wedding, Emma realised that she had underestimated the scope of the work and left herself extremely short on time. So therefore she isn't being diligent there, or she isn't carrying out with due care because the quality is likely to drop if she's short on time or whatever. So that is relevant to it, so we get our additional +3. So we need 3 points that look like that. The kind of provision of services, some development, which could be an example, and then a direct link straight from the text for 3, 3 and 3. You do that 3 times, you get 27, and then because the initial question was, do you agree, you need to add no in then initially to start your answer to get the other 3, to give you 30 in total for that.